So the project that started at Unionville started actually in grade 9 when I had a teacher with Indigenous background. And while we were doing visual arts, she talked about the culture of Indigenous arts and how that should be related to Canadian culture and Canadian history. And it's always stuck to me, and I said to her in grade 9, I promise you, we're going to do something. We're going to have that voice and have that culture shine through into visual arts, into any aspect of Canadian society. And why I was so passionate about this project, still going through, and finally took up the courage to talk to Mr. Shane Claude from Unionville High School about it, was because as a Chinese immigrant coming to Canada, we in China have many different tribes. We have, I think, over 50. And they're Indigenous, and we always celebrated them. And many people just yearned to have those days off that celebrated their festivities. And we got to look at their outfits, their culture, and what modern day Indigenous tribes were doing now. And I think that it was important always for me to have that kind of culture mixed into modern day culture as well. And when I saw that a little bit lacking in Canada, I felt that we just needed to have that voice and that platform. And because I was specializing in visual arts, I thought that would be a great way for Unionville High School as well to just have that collaboration. My full intention was to have this be even like a 5-year or like 10-year project, because I wanted to make sure that students, myself included, when we open that history textbook or when we have projects come in from visual arts or dance or whatnot, that Indigenous culture was normal. It was part of what we wanted to learn about and what we wanted to continue growing and creating with each other. I believe this is extremely important, especially for those that are immigrating to Canada, because anybody who wants to learn about Canadian culture, this is it. This is Canadian culture, and we need to make this normal, and we need to have that kind of platform where everybody is included, and not just have a history of Canada that still continues on today without that Indigenous voice, and not to just victimize them or just patronize them either, but just have them as a solid voice in Canadian culture.